Today, we're going to get into the wild story of how a quiet, little eco-friendly dirt bike, something you'd expect to see on a nature trail, somehow became a ghost-like tactical tool for the world's most elite special forces. It's a pretty incredible journey, really, from a fun ride to a full-on reconnaissance weapon. So let's start with the big problem that these units are constantly trying to solve. In a world of super advanced sensors that can pick up heat, sound, and movement from miles away, how do you possibly move without being noticed? How do you become a ghost? And right here, this is the heart of the issue. A normal gasoline engine is a huge liability. It screams, it puts out a massive heat signature that lights up thermal cameras, and it's a logistical nightmare keeping it fueled and maintained. But an electric motor? Well, it just flips the whole script. It's almost dead silent, it runs cool, and it's ridiculously easy to take care of. So how in the world did we get to this military-grade machine? To really get it, we have to go back to the beginning, back to its civilian roots, where this whole idea of a high-performance electric dirt bike was just starting to take shape. The evolution here was just lightning fast. I mean, think about it. In only 5 years, this technology went from being a quirky consumer product to a specialized police bike, and then, boom, it gets the attention of U.S. Special Operations, and a true military machine is born. What's so fascinating is just how humble its beginnings were. The original 2008 0X was this cool mix of motorcycle and mountain bike parts. It only weighed 140 pounds, had a frame that was lighter than some bicycles, and you could charge the thing for literally a quarter. That was its DNA: light, simple, and super efficient. But the absolute game changer, the one piece of tech that made all the difference, was this modular battery. The idea that you could just pop out a dead battery and slap in a fresh one in less than a minute, that was revolutionary. It basically solved the biggest headache for electric vehicles: range anxiety. And for the military, well, that meant they could keep operating without stopping for hours to recharge. Okay, so you have this really neat trail bike. How does it get transformed into something that Special Forces would actually use? Well, this is where U.S. Special Operations Command walks in the door with a very, very specific shopping list. And let's be clear, this wasn't the military just buying something off the shelf. Not at all. As Zero's CTO explains here, this was a full-on collaboration. Special Ops came to them and said, here's what we need it to do, and they built a bike from the ground up to meet every single one of those demands. And this list just shows you how deep that transformation went. Keyless ignition isn't a luxury. It's so you can get moving now. Being able to drive through a meter of water means it can go places no other vehicle can. And things like integrated wiring for infrared lights and a special blackout switch for the headlight, that's all about moving in total darkness, completely invisible. So, the bike is fully decked out with all this incredible tech. What does that actually let these elite forces do in the field? How does it fundamentally change how they operate? This quote from a Marine recon commander just hits the nail on the head. In places like thick jungles, those massive multi-ton armored trucks, they're basically useless. They can't maneuver. The MMX fills what they call a capability gap. It lets a small team get into terrain that is just a complete no-go zone for traditional military vehicles. Okay, so check out how a real mission might go down. A larger vehicle, like one of those new ULTVs, gets the team pretty close to the target area. Then, the team jumps on the MMX bikes and silently pushes way deeper into enemy territory. Finally, a small two-person team can ditch the bikes and sneak the last bit on foot. This lets a sniper, or JTAC, that's the specialist who calls in airstrikes, get close enough to guide a missile right onto a target, all without anyone ever knowing they were there. Let's just talk about the sound for a second, because these numbers are staggering. A standard dirt bike is obnoxiously loud, like 113 decibels. Even a special hybrid military bike is still around 75 decibels. The Zero MMX, it's humming along at 55 decibels. That's about as loud as your kitchen refrigerator. It's the difference between being heard from miles away and not being heard at all. And this incredible tactical advantage isn't just for battlefields overseas. The LAPD figured out that the MMX was the absolute perfect tool for patrolling huge, hilly parks where a regular patrol car couldn't go, and a loud motorcycle would just announce their presence to everyone for miles. All right, so the bike is obviously a revolutionary tool. But, and this is a big but, it is not a magic bullet. Using this thing in the real world comes with its own set of pretty tough challenges. You really have to weigh the good against the bad here. So on one hand, yeah, it's silent. And you can even drop it out of a plane with a GPS-guided parachute system called J-pads. But Marines using it say that in really rough terrain, you can burn through a whole battery in just 20 minutes. The batteries are heavy too, which means you're carrying less water, ammo, or other gear. And trying to recharge one in a combat zone, that's a slow, vulnerable process. So, what does this all mean for the future of reconnaissance? The Zero MMX, it's more than just a cool bike. It's really a symbol of a massive shift in how military operations are being planned and fought. It's the perfect tool for something called asymmetric warfare. And what that really means is it's when a smaller, less powerful force uses clever, unconventional tactics to fight a much bigger enemy. It's all about stealth, speed, and surprise, and the MMX delivers on all three. And this is not just some theory. We are seeing this play out on the battlefield right now. In Ukraine, soldiers have been mounting anti-tank missiles on electric bikes to launch these incredibly fast, silent hit-and-run attacks on armored columns. They sneak in, take their shot, and just melt away before the enemy even knows what's happened. It's a total game changer. And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. All of its current weaknesses, the battery life, the weight, the slow recharging, they're all tied to today's battery technology. And we all know that technology is only going to get better, lighter, and more powerful. So as those limitations start to disappear, are we heading into a new era where silence becomes the single most powerful weapon on the ground?